hell is that?
Welcome back to the Drive Home Reviews podcast, where I review the movies that I have just seen as I'm driving home from the theater. And we have reached a milestone. I have to say that I am a little disappointed that we have reached this milestone so early in the calendar year, but given the output of what I have seen so far, I can't honestly say that I'm surprised. But we have, in fact, hit the first movie of the year that I can say without any shade of doubt that I absolutely hated. Oh my God, did I hate this movie. More than that, I'm angry at this movie. Because this is not just a bad movie. This isn't just a assault on the eyes and the senses. It is a movie wherein there are moments of brilliance that happen. There are good ideas and good thoughts and good, just good intentions that are just sucked out of it by the pretentiousness of its creative forces. And while I hate a bad movie, what I really despise is a movie that had so much potential, but people just couldn't get out of their own way, and all of that promise is squandered. And such is the case with this fucking movie. Now, before I begin, I was questioning where to put this, but I'm going to put it right here at the top, because I do feel it is important to address. While doing my traditional look through for the images that I use for the YouTube version of this review, of course, I come across articles and headlines and other reviews. I don't read them or watch them, so I try to keep... I don't like doing that until after I have done my actual review, and then I see what other people thought. But I noticed some of the headlines, and some of the headlines are things like misogynistic review of The Bride, and you know, misogyny is the reason why people aren't liking this movie. And I get that we need to be on the lookout for bad faith criticism, especially online, because negative criticism, bigoted, misogynistic, homophobic, you know, everything phobic reviews, they get clicks. You know, just as a minor example, my worst of year roundup reviews tend to get more views and more listens than my best of. People want negativity. So there are people who will take the misogynistic route to get attention on themselves, and thus, you know, create all of this negative press. And then there are the people who actually believe shit like that. You know, these peons who can't stand the fact that a woman made a movie and made it her way, and that somehow threatens them. So I understand that. Hell, I have spent the last 2 months defending Starfleet Academy from idiots who are going around, oh, a gay Klingon, it's ruined Star Trek. Star Trek's woke now. So I get it. But in the same breath, I am going to say, fuck that. I am not going to be afraid of being labeled a misogynist because I point out that a movie doesn't fucking work. Okay? You can't use that as a shield against negative criticism of your work. If you're putting something artistic out there, you too can be criticized, and its weaknesses and flaws can, in fact, be brought out and explored. Okay? And I know I've got that little nagging voice in the back of my head, which has a very specific sound to it, going, oh, you're a cis white man. Of course you don't like this thing that a woman made. And again, I say to you and I say to that voice, fuck that. I'm going to give you my honest opinion. I'm going to try to justify my criticisms as much as I can. You want to label me a misogynist, fine. But this is Drive Home Reviews. We are the defenders of gay Klingons. I gave good reviews to Captain Marvel, The Marvels, Miss Marvel. She said, I will stand by my criticisms. Okay? So don't try to use that as a catch-all, bulletproof, everything-proof, invisible shield to keep you from criticism. Because, goddamn, is this movie, oh my god, okay. Let's try to take this point by point. So, what do we have here? Well, that's a very difficult question to answer. But in the broad strokes, what you have here is kind of exactly what the trailers indicate. You have kind of the Bride of Frankenstein reimagined as this kind of horror movie, Bonnie and Clyde thing, road trip film. Essentially what we have is in the 1930s that do not consistently look like the 1930s in any way, shape, or form. You have Christian Bale now playing the over 100-year-old Frankenstein's monster, but is going by Frank. He approaches a new mad scientist played by Annette Bening to make him a bride. Essentially, it is the B story in the original novel and a remake of the original Bride of Frankenstein. They find a body of a young woman who died at a bar. We're going to talk about this opening scene in detail here in a fucking second. They reanimate her. She comes back to life. Of course, doesn't have knowledge of who she was or what happened. She doesn't initially like Frankie. They build a bond. They go on a crime spree that is started out of them defending themselves. And yeah, the rest of the movie happens. Again, I have to use broad strokes because this movie is actually like 4 or 5 different genres, different styles, different looks, all, pardon me, Frankensteined together to form a whole. I don't say a cohesive whole, I say a whole. Because, yeah, the visual style and everything of this is just all over the fucking place. You know, they say it takes place in the 1930s, but it really doesn't look like the 1930s for most of the film. It looks like some weird hodgepodge between the 80s and like a grimier 70s. There's a moment where Frankie and the bride go to some underground dance club, which looks like it's being hosted by the Dark Universe versions of the Lollipop Guild, which I don't fucking know what any of that was. It shifts then to like a noir setting with these 2 detectives that are trailing them. There are inserts with a mob boss that the bride was with at the beginning of the picture. It then jumps to 40s nostalgia with intercuts because Frankie is obsessed with this song and dance man that he sees in the movies, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. But the hairstyles and makeup are more, I don't even know what date. It's all over the place in tone, in emotion, in execution. Now, part of me thinks that while watching this is where my main anger starts. Again, there are some good ideas going on here, and there are some good things about this movie. And as I'm watching this and trying to make sense of this weird collection of visual information and audio information, I think to myself, I guess maybe it's kind of a visual metaphor for the creatures themselves, particularly Frankenstein, because he is sewn together from a bunch of different parts, and also the bride in this movie is constantly kind of jumping in and out of different personalities and mindsets as all of these different influences are trying to inform her worldview and her personality. So maybe the film is trying to give you a visual expectation of that. Okay, fair enough. Here's the problem. You want the film to look like the Frankenstein's monster or the bride's mental state. Well, you do realize that part of the whole fucking point is that hodgepodge of body parts and mental images makes both characters incredibly ugly to the eye, right? Because it fucking is. It's ugly and unpleasant to watch because nothing feels like it connects to anything else. There is no core through line. Yes, the monster has a beautiful soul, and yes, the bride will eventually combine all of these different pieces of her psyche together to create a new identity. But this movie is not so lucky, because this movie cannot decide on a cohesive point. If you ask me what this movie is about, I can't tell you. I have no fucking clue, because this movie seems to be about 100 different things. And how do I know it's about 100 different things? Because it constantly tells you. There's no fucking subtlety in this. It's just shouting it to the rooftops. Every time it switches points, or every time it switches viewpoint or message.
Message for you, son.
Message.
It screams it at you. There is a point at the end where the bride is going off on some rant, and she literally screams the word, "Me too! Me too!" Okay, so now we're drawing to the Me Too movement. Great, thanks for the nice subtle nod there. But that is only a corner of this, and the rest is like, is it her personal journey to discover who she is? Is it, I don't know. Nobody fucking knows. Okay, let's take that. Okay, if this is supposed to be an exploration of the bride's journey and the various voices that are going on inside her head, who she once was, the girl she once was, who we don't really get to know, the people that Frank is telling her that she was, the memories of everything else that is flooding in. Okay, that's an interesting take. That's a fascinating take on, modern day femininity or feminist movements, and trying to figure out who we are, or who they are, I should say, not we, I'm sorry, who they are, with all of these different voices telling them to be all these different things, and how does that all come together to create a modern woman. Okay, that's an interesting take, but it is immediately undercut by the fact that one of the voices in her head is literally Mary fucking Shelley's ghost possessing her. The fuck? Is this supposed to be like the voice of oppressed women from the past? And if that's the case, why give that incarnation of her psyche the fucking most ridiculous and hard to take serious performance? Whenever she switches to Mary Shelley, she speaks like fucking timeless Toni Storm cosplaying as Bellatrix Lestrange.
So I am asking, I am pleading, I am begging every woman with a pulse to step up. Come one, come all, and play the role in the greatest show on earth. Give me your best, give me your worst, and everything in between. But don't worry, darlings, God doesn't judge. That's my job.
Did you hear that? That's what she sounds like. How do you take that seriously? You can't. It's fucking madness. And this is not a knock on Timeless Toni Storm, but for those who don't know, Timeless Toni Storm is a professional wrestler, and her gimmick is that she believes herself to be a starlet from the golden age of Hollywood, and so she gives these big bombastic what's her name, Amona Desmond kind of monologues and promos. It's this very big bombastic performance, and it works there because it's fucking pro wrestling. But here, when Jessie Buckley breaks into it in the middle, it comes off as comical and silly and ridiculous. Why? Why is she doing this? And it's not even a bad idea to have the voice of Mary Shelley be one of the voices in her head. That's not a bad idea. But the way it's presented is so bonkers and bullshit that you can never enjoy it. Poor Jessie Buckley, who is trying to give a good performance in this. She is trying her damnedest to give as strong a performance as she possibly can. But she's consistently undercut by having to do this Joss Whedon kink for broken women, this Drusilla River Tam rambling that worked with those actors because both Juliet Landau and Summer Glau were playing it very straight. But this, it feels like she feels like she's Jim Carrey. Go watch Ace Ventura: Pet Detective and how he jumps in and out of voices and dialogues and, crazy affectations. That's what this sounds like. And that doesn't make me go, wow, what a deep and amazing choice this director and actor made. It makes me go, what the fuck is happening? And they don't even ease you in. This is how the movie opens. The movie opens with Mary Shelley, ghost, I assume, giving this kind of monologue to the camera. This is supposed to be a nod, I believe, to the original Bride of Frankenstein, wherein Esther Lancaster was playing Mary Shelley in the prologue to the film. So I thought that's what we were doing, is kind of that homage, especially since Jessie Buckley is playing both of them. And we see the bride, prior to becoming the bride, her name's Ida, at a restaurant with a bunch of sleazy people, all being sleazy, and she goes on this manic possession straight out of The Exorcist, climbing all over the table and doing all these disgusting things, and you're just like, what in the fuck? So yeah, she was possessed by Mary Shelley. Really? Fucking seriously? And she's doing all of this batshit stuff. And this is how the movie opens. And I thought for a minute, you know, Baz Luhrmann films actually start this way. You know? Strictly Ballroom, Moulin Rouge, they start like that. With all this insanity kind of crammed into the first couple of minutes, and then the movie slows down and lets you kind of get into it. And I thought that's maybe what we were going for. Okay, we had all that insanity, and now we're going to kind of calm down, and the story is going to take is actually going to fall into its actual pacing. No, it's like that throughout the whole fucking movie. The whole fucking thing is like this. Just batshit insanity for the sake of batshit insanity, hiding under the guise of, I'm so deep. And maybe you could forgive this if the script was better. The dialogue in this sounds like Miss Johnson's third grade class wrote some of the interactions. It's like, holy shit, could you not pass this up to the junior high and let them take a whack at it? The stilted dialogue is bizarre, and these actors are doing the best they can. I want to say, I do think Jessie Buckley, when she's not having to cut back and forth between fucking Bellatrix Lestrange there and everything else, when she's actually allowed time to breathe, yeah, she's giving a very good performance. And Christian Bale is also just really... Christian Bale is kind of like Nicolas Cage. Nobody really gives them the credit for being as good of actors as they are. They focus too much on the weirdness. But he's a great actor. And he is really acting his ass off in this. Really trying to pull this together. But then even Frankie is inconsistent. You know, he goes from being a quiet, more, you know, kind of debonair, and then he gets lost in this world of fucking Bonnie and Clydeness, and he's screaming and acting all dark in New York. And it's like, what in the absolute fuck? Can we pick a tone and a characterization and fucking stick with it? Can we do that with the fucking genre? Yeah, is this a road picture? Is this a noir picture? Because the side plot of the two detectives following them is very noir. And then we get off on this Wuthering Heights fucking, you know, bizarre sexual exploration. Yes, I have to say that watching Frankenstein's monster get a blowjob with his rotten crotch was not on my 2026 bingo card. That was not a sentence I thought that I was going to have to articulate. And yet, there it is. You know. And apparently, in our visual shorthand for like women's revolution was like a bunch of women running through the streets, firing guns, and getting on top of cars and flashing their privates. Okay. Yeah, viva revolution. Yeah, and that's again, in this film, which is supposedly, I guess, about feminist theory in some way, shape, or form, can't even follow through on any of this. It's somehow the bride, by giving an incoherent rant at a dinner party or at some kind of big Hollywood shindig, somehow inspires other women to do things. Like, it's not even sure what they're inspired to do. It says that they killed people, so she inspired them to become serial killers? Yay? Viva? I don't... The movie can't even be bothered to stick with that point or plot line and see it through and explain it. It can't even be doing that with some of the major points. Again, that one of the other plots going on in this movie is the gangster. Apparently, the whole reason... Oh, by the way, spoilers. I don't give a shit for this one, but spoiler warning.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Maybe say spoiler before you give away the end of a movie, okay?
So apparently, before she died, Ida was, I think, a call girl who was working with the police to go undercover and spy on this mob boss who has an Italian last name but speaks with a Russian accent. Okay, whatever. Who likes to pull people's tongues out. Interesting character trait. And when he finds out she's still alive, he sends people to kill them. They can't even wrap that story up in the movie. The movie ends, and then they wrap that storyline up in the, like, as the credits are rolling. So it was literally a footnote. Again, here's the thing with this entire fucking thing, is that, again, there are some good ideas and some places where I legitimately give Maggie Gyllenhaal a lot of credit. I do believe, like I say, when the film actually stops fucking around and lets the bride and Frankie have moments and lets them experience each other and grow, and the movie is actually pretty good. Those scenes are actually very well done, well written, well staged, well directed, well acted. And the minute I start getting comfortable and going, okay, this actually might be a good movie, nope, we got to spin that around and fuck it up. Likewise, I don't know if I want to give Maggie Gyllenhaal credit for this, or if I think it's fucking stupid. But either way, I do applaud the balls of it. Because, again, she pulls a lot, and she makes no secret of the fact she's pulling from a lot of Frankenstein lore and visual shorthand for this movie. For instance, the creature is obsessed with a song and dance man that he sees in the movies, which, again, is ripping off Shawshank Redemption, but whatever. And while he's sitting there watching these elaborate dance numbers, he will imagine himself up there dancing. And, of course, the first thing that this brings to mind is young Frankenstein. And so during a big dance number, the aforementioned big dance number at the Big Hollywood Shindig, the creature breaks into a fucking Thriller dance to Puttin' on the Ritz, which ends with him screaming. So, on the one hand, I give her so much props for just kind of going, okay, we know that this is what people are going to be thinking about. We know that this is where their mind is going to go. Let's just hang a huge motherfucking lampshade on it and make it part of our story. I can respect that. I really can. But that it was set up, staged, and presented in the most fucking stupid way. Like, okay, so it's set up by they're evading a mob. They hide out in this party, pretending to be waiters, which how nobody notices what they are immediately. And Jake Gyllenhaal's character is there. Frankenstein goes up to him to tell him how much he means to him, and like a traditional celebrity dealing with a fan, basically writes him off. And so the creature stops in the middle of this and does his fucking Thriller dance, which then everybody joins in on this huge choreographed dance number. The fuck is this? And it's not an imaginary dance number. This isn't like a Scrubs moment where, you know, we're supposed to see that this is just his imagination. No, this is really fucking happening. I guess it's supposed to pay off the scene at the Dark Lollipop Guild Club where she keeps asking him to dance and he says he doesn't, and now they dance together in this bizarre, I think that's what it's supposed to pay off, but you're too busy going, what in the fuck is this? And how do all these other people know the fucking dance? It's like she's all that at the prom and they had to edit in that line about "Go, dance club, go!" And that is an encapsulation of everything that is wrong with this movie. This director cannot get out of her own fucking way. This movie suffers from a severe case of because I cannabis. Why are we doing it? Why are we telling the story this way? Why are we including these elements? Why the possession by Mary Shelley? Why that characterization of Mary Shelley? Why the switching of genres? Why the this and that? The barely connected plot threads, the different tones, the different styles. Why? Because she can.
What the hell did you do that for?
Because shut up.
What this movie reminds me of, this movie reminds me a lot of the very first couple of plays I directed when I was in college. And that first time you get creative control and you just want to do everything that you've ever wanted to do. And you do it. And you're so proud, and yet when people leave, they're going, that was just really confusing, because you can't understand why this thing that you were so enamored of and you thought these ideas were so great, why they don't come together. And then it's not until later, when you're seasoned, when you have a better education, when you're smarter, that you can realize it's like, yeah, all these big ideas are great, but if there's not a coherent through line uniting them all and bringing them all together, if there isn't a thesis statement, if there isn't a main idea, if there's not a theme that unites them all, that everything is in service of, then all it is a bunch of crazy shit in a blender that you did because you could. Now, some may argue that there is a theme, and maybe there is, as again, I've pointed out multiple themes that could be the overarching idea, but it's so clear watching it that the director is so focused on just going to the next weird setup, the next bizarre staging, the next anachronistic dance number, that the through line and the metaphor, the theme, whatever you want to call it, it's lost. It's gone. And so when you have these moments of brilliance and they are immediately undercut by all this other weird shit. And weird shit is fine. There's nothing wrong with weird shit. But if the weird shit is not in service of a cohesive idea, then all it is weird shit. And that's all it is. And that's why I hate this movie. I hate it. I hate it not because it's poorly made, not because it's inconsistent. I hate it because there is real potential there. There is a lot of good stuff and good ideas, really good performances, and moments of real brilliance and substance that are immediately undercut because the director could not restrain themselves. Because Maggie Gyllenhaal could not stop herself. I understand this is only her second picture. I do see a lot of talent there, and I think if she can calm down and, focus it a little bit, I think she will make some brilliant movies. But this is just too much. It's her sophomore film, and it feels sophomoric. So yeah, blame it on misogyny if you want. But I said the exact same fucking thing about the director of After the Hunt last year. So whatever. Final grade. Let's wrap this up. Final grade for The Bride. I'm going to be angry, and I've been handing this grade out a lot this year, but I'm angry at this movie. I'm angry at what it did. I'm angry at the way it handled it. I'm angry at the way it then tries to defend itself by saying anybody who criticizes it's a misogynist. And I'm just angry at so many aspects of this movie. I'm giving it a fucking F. It's an F for me. Now, again, I said this about several other films this year. I do encourage you to watch it and make up your own mind. Maybe it will speak to you in a way it doesn't speak to me. And if so, fan-fucking-tastic. Good on you. I'm happy you found something that moves you. But for my money, no. You know what the best criticism or the best quote I heard for this? The best thing that sums it all up for me? In one of the commercials that play before YouTube videos and shit, 'cause I've seen a lot of commercials for this movie, you know, they get one of those quotes from some critic who's like, "It's raw." And as I'm sitting there, I'm like, yes, I think that is the absolute perfect definition of this movie. It's raw. It's undercooked. It's not well done. It's bloody, and if you ingest it, you'll die screaming on the toilet. So, yes, the film is very raw. So, there you have it. Those are my thoughts on The Bride. Okay, well, that was a lot. That was a lot. So if you listened through all of that, thank you. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed that diatribe. I hope that something comes out that gives me some joy. But so far we've had one movie this year that did that, and yeah, it's not looking good. Let's hope it turns around. So hope you're doing well. Hope everyone's happy, and as always, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.